In the unlikely event of a serious incident or accident at a nuclear generating plant that involves the release of radioactive material, the general public will be evacuated to reception centers where they'll be monitored and decontaminated if necessary. Certain designated hospitals are approved for the care of contaminated individuals who become injured during the evacuation. While this video spells out the general method used to treat potentially contaminated and injured people, the basic execution as demonstrated here may be modified to suit each hospital's specific policies, plans, and procedures. If a general emergency is declared by a nuclear generating plant in Minnesota, reception centers will be set up and staffed. The public will evacuate, and the State Emergency Operations Center will notify designated hospitals of the situation. The State Emergency Operations Center will explain that if injuries occur at the reception center, potentially contaminated and injured individuals may be brought to these hospitals. Ambulance personnel stationed at the reception center will respond to and treat the injured person following strict contamination control guidelines. The contaminated patient will be cocooned and delivered to the designated hospital emergency room, where treatment will continue and decontamination will begin. Before the patient arrives at the hospital, the emergency room and patient receiving areas need to be set up. This will involve posting the necessary signs in predetermined locations, clearly delineating areas as being either clean or dirty, removing all non-essential equipment and supplies to designated clean areas, then covering all essential or non-mobile equipment remaining in the dirty area with plastic. The emergency room staff will also need to don the required personal protective equipment for their assigned role, including dosimetry. When the patient arrives, they'll be triaged to determine the extent of their injuries. Potentially contaminated individuals with life-threatening injuries will be treated prior to decontamination, and potentially contaminated individuals without life-threatening injuries will be brought into the prescribed emergency room bay for treatment and decontamination. As treatment is conducted, the patient's contaminated clothing will be removed and placed into a radioactive waste container. In order to determine the locations and extent of the patient's contamination, a complete radiation survey, both front and back, will be conducted as soon as possible without interfering with the medical assessment. Eyes, ears, nose, and mouth will also be surveyed for contamination and cleaned as necessary. Blood tests and samples will be collected and marked and placed in a plastic bag labeled with a radiation sticker. If X-rays are necessary, the patient can be brought to the edge of the dirty area where a portable X-ray machine covered with a plastic sleeve may be used. Once fully decontaminated, the patient may then be transferred to a clean gurney located outside of the dirty area. Caregivers involved in the patient transfer must be careful to avoid reaching across the boundary marking the line between the clean and dirty areas. After the patient transfer is complete, the emergency room staff may doff their personal protective equipment and exit the dirty area. To release the emergency room bay back to normal daily use, it must first be completely surveyed for radiological contamination and cleaned as necessary. If you have further questions about the specific tasks performed by the individual members of the decontamination team, please refer to the other videos in this series, as well as the specific plans and procedures for your hospital.